Hi everyone, my name is Madan Mohan Rao from YourStory, and on behalf of all of us at YourStory, welcome to the Brands of New India Mega Summit. The first ever edition of this Mega Summit is a platform where we hear directly from leaders, entrepreneurs, and pioneers who are leading the transformation in the D2C landscape of the country. In this session, we will be discussing factors, market dynamics, trends, and solutions that can help D2C brands ride the sustainability wave. Please join me in welcoming Dhwani Mehta, co-founder and CEO of Ecovia. Dhwani, welcome aboard.
Madan, thank you so much for having me here.
Thanks. Great. Founded in 2021, Ecovia is a startup catering to D2C brands with sustainable packaging solutions. The biggest USP of Ecovia's packaging is that users get rewarded for returning the packaging. Let's talk to Dhwani and understand more about this brand. So, Dhwani, we've been talking to D2C founders and crucial enablers throughout this summit, but you're working in such a very interesting segment. Can you share with us what inspired you to venture into this space? Dhwani?
So I think before becoming D2C enablers, we were consumers first. And during the pandemic is when we realized that we are all very dependent on the e-commerce space, right? Right, from groceries to daily essentials and everything in between. And we felt one recurrent source of frustration was the excess packaging. I mean, how many times have we all seen, smaller products coming in big sizes of boxes with, fillers, with plastics and, all those things stuffed inside. And during our multiple conversations with the brands and customers to further validate the problem that we were feeling as consumers, we realized that this problem is felt by and large by most of the consumers who shop online today. And if we think about the larger D2C ecosystem as well, right, while there has been evolution in every other space, like, now there are faster checkouts, there are better payment mechanisms like buy now, pay later. We also have better logistics in place. But if you think about packaging as a space, as an D2C enablement space, it's largely archaic. Other than a few cosmetic changes on the packaging, we haven't seen any significant change in the technology or even the newer business models that have come in this space. And the more we talk to brands, the more the why of this problem became more and more clearer to us. And also with a bunch of pilots that we conducted to understand this problem and validate our offering on the ground, did we realize the why now of this became more and more clearer to us. And with the D2C space booming in India, it only felt obvious to us that such a solution needs to exist for the modern consumer today.
Thanks, Dhwani. That's a great observation that the pandemic not just drove e-commerce, but along with it, all this excess waste through packaging and so on. Now, of course, another bigger context, another bigger trend is climate change. So in that context, how important do you think sustainable packaging is today for the D2C sector? Dhwani?
Sure, for sure. I think evolution in the kinds of brands that are coming in today, that's largely mimicking the changes in consumer trends today as well, right? Consumers today are feeling the heat of, the different aspects of climate change today, and more brands are coming up to cater to that need of consumers. And it is an established fact today that more and more consumers want brands to be sustainable. And all the new age brands today, right, they are advocating sustainability in one form or the other. Think Zomato. Zomato has a climate conscious delivery now. Mamaearth is planting trees for every order that's placed on their website. For example, now more and more sustainability focused marketplaces are becoming more mainstream and taking center stage now. So in a sense, I think sustainability is taking a center stage in the mainstream e-commerce segment. But talking specifically about the packaging, right? Brands have taken measures to eliminate plastics from the supply chain, to use biodegradable or compostable packaging for their e-commerce delivery orders. But we feel that's not enough, right? India has literally just 8 industrial biodegradation facility, and that's not enough to cater to the amount of waste or amount of packaging that the e-commerce ecosystem uses today. And I think the closest to a perfect solution for this is reusing at a commercial and at a scalable level. And one thing that aptly summarizes why reuse is better than recycle is this analogy that I've come across very recently. If at all you're in a bathtub and the water is overflowing, would you start mopping the floor or would you turn off the tap? Right? And which is where we feel that, reusing or returnable packaging is the future. And over a period of time, more and more brands would see value in this and also understand the climate impact of this offering.
Thanks, Dhwani. Now, one of the very interesting aspects of your offering is that customers actually get rewarded for returning their packaging. So can you just walk us through how this works from the customer's point of view, the brand's point of view, and your point of view? Dhwani?
For sure. So I think at its very core, we try to incorporate 2 very important principles of circularity. One is we made sure that the material that we were using, it did not extract virgin resources. So we use plastic bottles to make the package that we have today. And secondly, we also try to maximize utility that we get out of each and every packaging. It is used to serve multiple different orders for multiple different customers. And the way we thought, this entire offering or this entire model would work is to make sure each stakeholder that we have in the ecosystem, the brands and the consumers, had an equal, they could participate actively to make the model work. And this was only possible through to a proper incentive design system, right? And the incentive that we have for the brands, of course, is competitive pricing. We're able to help them retain customers. But for the customers, there had to be something in place to make sure that effort to return the packaging was worthwhile, which is why we introduced an incentive or a reward system, where if the customer returned the packaging back to us, they would be rewarded for acting responsibly, essentially. And this is first of its kind, obviously, in India, where customers are rewarded for making the entire experience of online shopping more frustration-free. And we feel that it's only about time that more and more brands would start adopting this solution and make this more mainstream.
Just to clarify, Dhwani, somebody comes to pick up the packaging from me, or I need to go somewhere and give the packaging?
So we would come to your doorstep to make the collection happen. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's a great offering. That's a great design of the service over there. You talked earlier about how customers want this. This is something a lot of customers want. What about brands now? Did you have any challenges to convince brands to use this kind of an approach? And how did you navigate these kinds of conversations, Dhwani?
For sure. I think with every new change that comes, friction comes along with it. So we definitely had a lot of challenges in terms of convincing the brand about adopting our offering. So when we had first few conversations with brands to do pilots with us, one of the main challenge that we face with brands is they were unable to visualize what a returnable packaging would look like. Their questions were, why would you take a cardboard box back? But our point was, it is not a cardboard box, right? Because the returnable package is designed in a manner that's robust, and it can survive longer use cases. And secondly, they could not understand what their customers would experience as CX of our entire offering, which is where what we did to sort of combat or work around this challenge was to start making customized packaging for the brands that we aspire to work with. Send it to their founders with their products inside. So, for example, if you wanted to work with an X brand, we would customize the packaging for them, put the brands of that particular brand inside the packaging and send it to their founders, right? And they could experience firsthand what their consumers would experience. And that is what helped us, pitch our offering to the brands in a much convincing manner. And today, just because of that approach towards, pitching to brands, we are proud to, have been able to onboard brands like Baskin Science, Purple, and so on and so forth. So I think we did face challenges for sure, but brands did realize the merit of this idea and what it could do to their brand. So yeah.
So, Dhwani, it's great that you met quite a few brands who came on board with your message, but what about the rest of them, the broader ecosystem? What can be done to increase much more awareness, education for the whole D2C ecosystem on why they need to switch to this kind of packaging?
Mm-hmm. So I think awareness is something that will play a key role in terms of onboarding more and more brands across different scales, from small scale brands to medium scale and enterprise level brands, right? So awareness is definitely going to be one key priority. But other than that, what will pull other smaller and medium scale brands also to this bandwagon is the fact that them being able to see what it does to their entire brand image. Customers today want sustainability that does not require a lot of effort on their part, and also does not burn a hole in the brand's pocket as well. So we made sure that in order to be able to accessible to more and more brands, our offering, one, was cost competitive to what their current costs are. So we did not want brands to, just in the name of sustainability, to take a hit on their P&L. So of course, cost competitiveness was something that was a priority for us. And secondly, we wanted to keep the customers engaged in this entire process as well, which is why we try to gamify this entire process by introducing rewards program, by simplifying the returns process. Today, we have an industry first two-step returns process for our packaging, and that has enabled and removed the friction from the entire returns process, and also helped more and more consumers, take part in this entire, to make the entire model work essentially. So I think largely, by and large, two factors are at play here. One is making sure the proposition is viable for businesses that we work with, and it is convenient for their customers, so there is less friction in terms of adoption. So I think both these factors would play a key role in terms of one, making sure the brands are aware enough that such an offering is out there, available and also accessible, and secondly, would drive adoption at scale for us. So
Thanks, Dhwani. Those are some great accomplishments right there. But what's your vision for the future? I mean, further down the road, where do you see your organization headed? Where is the whole ecosystem headed? And where would you fit into this new kind of a future? Dhwani?
interesting. So I think in terms of what our vision for Ecovia is, right? So one is there's a big myth that we're trying to bust here. Sustainability is often looked at something that either takes a lot of effort or takes a lot of money. So that is one thing that we want to try to debunk, and that is only possible by making sustainability more mainstream, right? By more accessible to more and more customers and all levels of customers across all income stratas, for example. So one, our larger vision is definitely to make sustainability more mainstream, and this is one thing that we relate to a lot as a team. That the day when a family in the remotest area of India is able to return the packaging back to us, that is the day we'd feel that we've done something right here. So I think making this entire idea mainstream is the goal for sure for us. And the way we are moving towards that goal is firstly by targeting more D2C brands who have an urban, conscious, and a sustainable kind of a consumer base, and then moving forward, moving down the line, and making sure we're reaching more and more tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well, to make sure the adoption of this idea is at scale, and there is something in it for everyone. So this is also something that is very ingrained in our ethos, that we don't that we appeal to the self-interest of an individual, not the mercy. So we want to make sure there's something in it for everyone involved, whether it be in terms of the feel good that you get to do something nice for the environment, or whether it's a tangible benefit in terms of rewards. So yeah.
Thanks, Dhwani. To wrap up this chat, I want to ask you one question which we're asking all speakers at this summit, which is, what, according to you, are some of the key factors that will power India's D2C ecosystem for the next phase of growth? Dhwani?
Interesting. I think something that we have seen a lot of brands practice today who have driven great growth for themselves is customer backwards thinking, right? First, you have to preemptively identify what your customers want. For example, before the advent of 10-minute grocery deliveries, we did not even realize, how important, or, basically the importance of such a service in our lives. But today we cannot imagine our life without it. Second is community-led growth. Customers today do not want to engage with a faceless brand. They want to be able to identify with the mission of the brand, the mission of the founders of the brand. And lastly would be a purpose-driven ethos, right? Consumers will buy the stories you're selling to them more than the products. So you need to be able to own your story, and only then will you be able to, create this affinity, a brand affinity from your consumers. And I think lastly, own your story and outsource everything that is non-core to you and scale fast. That's the only thing that I see happening in the near future.
Thank you so much, Dhwani. This has been a fantastic conversation. If I could summarize some of the key takeaways from this half an hour or so chat, it would be the 3 C's: consciousness, capacity, and collaboration. All stakeholders in the ecosystem need to have the consciousness about environmental sustainability. They need to build the capacity in their processes and culture to make this part of the workflow. And finally, this is not possible without collaboration with partners like yourself. Thank you so much, Dhwani, for sharing your insights with us today. And to our audience, thanks for joining in, and do tune in for the rest of the summit. Thank you all so much. Cheers.